It's February the 21st, Monday, and it looks like we finally lucked out on the weather a little bit. Uh, we were due to get 3 to 5 inches of new snow, supposedly Saturday night, but fortunately most of the snow went north of us, and we only ended up getting a dusting. The roads and everything are clear now, and it's sunny, and the forecast for the rest of the week looks very promising. We're supposed to have sun just about all week, with temperatures moderating into the 50s by Friday. Boy, we can sure use a break. How goes everything with you guys? We continue to hear those horror stories about West Virginia and how much snow it seems to be getting around Preston County. It seems that West Virginia and the greater Buffalo area are the two places that have really got unloaded on this year. Actually, I can't remember a year when we've had more snow up here. This has had to be the worst year since I've been up here, and by far it's been the coldest. Those high winds have been pushing that wind chill factor way down, and it's had to be in the worst year since I've been up here. Dad, regarding your Pinto, I checked with Bill Marsh Ford, and they claimed that only certain Pintos made that year had that problem, and that yours was probably not included. If you weren't notified, you shouldn't worry about it. I have mine scheduled to go in Wednesday, and I didn't check with just any salesman. I checked with Panzano, and he said that he was confident that model was not one that was on recall. Speaking of cars, I got up Saturday morning, and it was kind of chilly, but at least it was somewhat clear, and I knew that snow was coming Saturday night, so I thought, well, I'll change the oil in both cars. And I got to hurrying because Shirley wanted to use her car by 1 o'clock, and I decided that this time I would change the mode in which I catch the oil. I usually catch it in a plastic pail in which I've inserted a polyethylene bag, which I can then close off and put down in the trash. But this time I thought I'd get a little more fancy, and I put a funnel inside a gallon milk jug. And darn it, if I didn't drop the plug out of the oil pan and block off the filter, and I believe I ended up capturing about 1 cup of the used oil. The rest of it all ran in the street. And boy, did I ever have a mess to clean up. I ended up absorbing most of it in paper, putting it in bags, and then I had to use dishwashing detergent to help emulsify it and rinse it away. So there's still a slight spot out there on the street, but actually I'm kind of amazed that I got as much of it up as I did. But I kind of used every word that I could think of in my vocabulary, and I believe I invented a couple when that happened. Well, you wouldn't believe the mess that caused. Well, I guess the next time I'll have better sense than to do something like that. I'll go back to my old procedure, which is really tried and tested and shown to work. Speaking of the Pinto, boy, I changed that oil filter on that, and that beam, Dad, really gets in your way. What I would recommend doing is once you drain the oil out of the pan, then reinsert the plug. And when you're ready to take the oil filter off, you ought to take a group of towels, paper towels, and lay up there on that beam right underneath the oil filter to catch the oil as when you twist that filter. There'll be maybe a cup or so run down there on that on the paper. And if you don't do that, it'll run down there on the beam and down over a couple of the hydraulic lines, and then you'll have it dripping around. You won't notice whether it's dripping from the filter or whether it's dripping just off the beam or the hydraulic lines. I end up having to wipe everything off after I got the filter off. So it looks to me like the best way of doing that is underneath and crawl right up under that beam once you get the car elevated, and then you can get in at it that way. But I'd make sure that I had some paper towels that could absorb that little bit of oil that will run out from underneath that filter. That filter is exactly straight on with the level with the motor block, and it's not tilted so that the oil will run out the minute that you break the seal. It'll begin to run out. So the one good thing about it is, Dad, in regard to those directions that I was just giving you, first of all, make darn sure that the car is stable. Do not crawl into that darn car with a bumper jack. We had another death up here this past week of a young kid, 19 years old, that put a car up on a bumper jack and was changing the shocks, and the car fell on him and killed him, just like Bill Beveridge. And I just can't believe people will do those kind of things. And whatever you do, don't you use wood or don't use anything other than some way of elevating that car by those driving up type ramps like I have. You ought to invest $18, $20 and get you a set of those. And if you don't have them, when you come up here next month, we'll get you a set, because you shouldn't be crawling around under that car unless you're darn sure you have that thing properly secure. No car is safe unless it's in a position like that. Back to that oil filter change again. It turns out that those darn Pintos capacity, including filter, is only 4.5 quarts. Now the filter evidently still holds a quart, because the Granada and the Pinto take the same filter, either a Fram or Purolator 1, and so the capacity of a half a quart that's missing is evidently somewhere in the engine block. It's not on the filter. But in any case, you're going to find that's a little more difficult than with some cars to change. But if you take your time, and above all, I'd put paper down on the street or wherever you go, so that if you do happen to have a little bit of an accident, all you have to do is pick up the paper. And a little bit of time spent beforehand, if I had done that beforehand, I'd have saved myself a lot of problems. Today, Shirley has the day off. I had to work. She went up to New Brunswick to pick up Herta and go over to the Princeton Medical Clinic. Fred is in there for some tests. He still is having problems with his so-called bronchial asthma. They have not been able to definitely diagnose his problem. One or two of the specialists seemed to think that it was heart problems, and another one thought it was asthma, another one thought it was allergy. So hopefully this clinic's going to be able to pinpoint his problem and assist him somewhat with some medication. He has a rather serious problem with phlegm, and some of the medication that the doctor had been giving him was helping him a little bit, but those of us watching this situation develop are a little bit fearful, because these doctors can't seem to be able to get together on their diagnosis. But this Princeton Medical Clinic is reported to be one of the best in the whole area, and if anyone can diagnose the problem, I'm sure they can. In any case, I hope when Shirley comes back tonight, she'll have some sort of a response from Herta and the doctors about what his problem really is. The last time we were up there, other than perhaps him getting short of breath, he seemed to be feeling fairly good, although Herta says that he can't do any kind of work at all. That if he even tries to go out and shovel 1 or 2 shovelfuls of snow, or even walk out to the mailbox and back, he is very tired. And of course, this is precipitated primarily by his shortness of breath caused by this tremendous amount of phlegm buildup that occurs in his lungs. Well, in any case, I wanted to let you all know that he has been pretty sick, and hopefully they're going to be able to do something to help him in the very near future. I spent the day yesterday writing a status report at Roman Haas, and trying to finish it off tonight. Things have been going there fairly well. I'm going to attach a short letter that I got from the director of research. I had a rather pleasant surprise February the 11th on Friday. They had originally informed us that we would not be getting any bonuses this past year, and that salary increases would probably be at a minimal, because the company has not been doing too well corporation-wise. But all I know is that the darn it, my area has been doing fairly well, and I had the best year. My group had the best year that I've had since I've been at Roman Haas, and it irritates me when they tend to be very general about everyone when the corporation does poorly, but specifically that they do nothing for the individuals who are doing their job. And but in any case, they came through with a rather substantial bonus for me, and it was a pleasant surprise. I enclosed a copy of it for your all's perusal. Why don't you guys consider coming up here next month? How about mid-month? Give this weather time to break so that you won't get caught in any horrendous snowstorms. The nice thing about March is if we would get snow, it probably wouldn't last any more than 1 or 2 days, and if you happen to get caught, you wouldn't have to spend any more than one night maybe on the road, because usually those storms are just laden with water, and they'll only last usually through the night. But I think mid-March would be a heck of a good time to come. Why don't you all kick it around, and I'll get back to you, and we'll set up a specific date. Okay? Regarding Bob Alexander of South Charleston, you might indicate to Lowell that his name has been in the paper several times up here. It seems that the Philadelphia Bulletin and Enquirer feel that perhaps he's been tampered with. They pointed out that Rockefeller paid him a visit, and shortly thereafter he signed a letter of intent to go to West Virginia University. I understand those kind of letters aren't binding, so he's still free to go to any other school he wants to, but I think some of the other schools that were in the bidding for him have become quite disturbed that he didn't lean their way originally. In any case, if I were that kid, I think I'd go to the highest bidder. There's the only way you tend to make out these days is to get your hands on a lot of money, and he sure as heck won't get it playing football up at West Virginia University. They'll play him 4 years, and he'll go into obscurity. If he can be guaranteed something, maybe Rockefeller promised him something after school. Maybe that's the reason that he decided to sign that letter. But if I were in his shoes, I'd take whatever I can get. That's what everyone else does these days. And darn it, it's his future. He has no guarantee that he won't go up there and get hurt and blow his entire career all in one play. So when you look at it from his point of view, it becomes one that's very unilateral, and makes you wonder whether he shouldn't just hold out for the highest bidder. It would be nice, however, if West Virginia did turn out to be his primary choice, and that's really what he wanted from the start. But I tend to think that that's generally not what happens. I think there's probably been pressure from around South Charleston to play for the state and be a black Jerry West, probably. Speaking of that, I did see part of the West Virginia Notre Dame basketball game on nationwide TV Saturday, and it almost looked like West Virginia State playing, didn't it? At several points during the game, they had all 5 West Virginia players were black, and Notre Dame, I think, had 4 out of their 5 that were black. I guess it's all right, but it just seems like they're really dominating the game these days. I guess the white kids just aren't putting forth the effort to go out there and play. West Virginia did play a pretty good game. I've been monitoring them, just little write-ups in the newspaper, and boy, they've lost some games this year that they should never have lost, but then they turn back around and win one that they shouldn't win. I guess really, the way they played Saturday, they had no business losing to a lot of those teams they lost to. Like Penn State last week beat them, I think, 81-69, and there's no way Penn State should be beating them. But I guess that's just typical of West Virginia athletics. Speaking of Law earlier, I meant to ask you all, did he get his shoes? I hope he did, and I hope that he liked them. They weren't exactly like the ones that I had purchased at Penny's, but that's all I could get through the company catalog that sells Roman Hostos shoes. They are good shoes, and they are comfortable wearing shoes, and tell him that if he keeps that kiwi neutral polish on them, they should look very nice, and they should be nice for him to wear, out to the mines and to these places that he's got to call on, that maybe he wouldn't want to wear a pair of good Florsheim or $55 or $60 shoes. But in any case, if he doesn't like them, it won't hurt my feelings. Tell him just to go ahead and wear them out to the camp, or wear them out some way. They didn't cost me, but I think I had to pay $2 extra, and the company picks up the rest of the tab. So if I don't get them, I just lose out during that year. So I was only too happy to get them for him. I hope he can make some use of them. I saw on the early Saturday evening news that FMC there in South Charleston was about to become noted throughout the United States, dumping that carbon tet in the Kanawha River, which went on down the Ohio and caused all the problems that it did. What was even more amazing is I happened to be watching the 6 o'clock CBS News where they had an alternate guy subbing for Cronkite. But then again, I don't think Cronkite really gives the news on Saturday night, so this could have been a new fella. But in any case, this guy was describing the situation, and then he cut away, and it showed a young commentator there on the Indian Mound in South Charleston, and it was sunny and all, and I was rather surprised to see it as dry as it really was. Didn't seem to be too much snow there on the ground. But in any case, back to the FMC story. He talked to the FMC manager, and of course they had accounted for every pound and gram of Carbon-Tet that the plant manufactured, and they just didn't see how any could get in the river. But that's the typical stories that these industrial chemical plants like to put out. The newsman did comment that he expected that FMC would be in court in 2 weeks to answer a charge. So it looks like they're the ones who are going to get the charges leveled at them. And it seems strange that they're basic in this Carbon-Tet. I don't believe carbide is. They've been using electrolysis of brine down there for years to generate chlorine in South Charleston, and I don't know other than probably in a few processes that carbide even uses the damn stuff. So it's just highly suspicious that it came out of the Kanawha River, and it came out right in that vicinity. And since they're the only one, I think they're going to have some real tough charges to respond to. I think probably before it's over, the EPA will end up fining them a substantial amount of money, and somewhere along the line they'll find that they're probably the guilty ones. They usually are. Dickie and Mary and Bashan came down last weekend and spent Friday evening and Saturday and Sunday with us, and went back early Monday morning. I don't think Shayna appreciates having another dog in the house too much, although she tolerated him. She really is a good little dog. He teased her quite a bit, but she put up with him, and she was very good. We didn't do anything. Weather was fair. We just laid around the house and talked and watched TV. Really wasn't really much else we could do. We hadn't seen them for a long time. The fact that they weren't able to get down Christmas time. Shirley was anxious to see Dickie and Mary, so they thought they'd come down for just the weekend. Well, it's about 3 hours later, and Shirley's back, and she informs me that the doctors have told Fred that perhaps he doesn't have bronchitis or bronchial asthma or even heart problems, that perhaps his major problem is he has a hiatal hernia, which he knew he had, and some leakage may be occurring from his stomach juices and so forth over into his lungs. The medication that they had been giving him to pull the phlegm out of his lungs has done the job rather well, and they have stopped this because it's such a powerful drug that it causes him to shake all over. And so they've withdrawn him from this drug, and Shirley says that they're going to send him home in about 2 days, and evidently he's not as bad off as we originally thought. But she said she saw his charts by the bed, and on it it was diagnosed as chronic lung disease. And she said, however, this was the diagnosis of the physicians up at the New Brunswick hospitals, and evidently the Princeton physicians have not concurred, but they're not indicating what their official diagnosis is at this point. I believe if I were Fred and Herta, I'd almost demand to know what their diagnosis is at this point. Shirley says they haven't been told anything so far. By the way, how are you guys feeling in general? Mom, are you feeling well? Are you getting out and walking over street as much as you used to? How about your club meetings? Are you going to your club meetings? One of the things that I really worry about is the possibility, of you walking over the street and falling on that darn ice. I know I came out of the house the other evening with Shayna, and wasn't paying any attention to what I was doing, and our driveway was just a solid sheet of ice, and I had on leather-soled shoes, and boy, I ended up going flat on my back in the driveway, and thought at first I had wrenched my back, but fortunately I did not, and so I know how easy it is to fall, and I particularly worry because you've taken a couple of spills before. I guess now that spring's coming on, there'll be fewer and fewer of these as ice storms and snowstorms we'll have to worry about, and perhaps you'll be able to get out a little more. Back to this trip next month, I hope you guys can see your way clear possibly to come up about them. That would sure be great with us. I don't see any problems at all insofar as my work schedule goes during that period of time, and I'm really confident that there's nothing that Shirley has going that would interfere. The only thing that could possibly happen would be a far more serious outbreak of flu, which has caused her to have to go in a few times on Saturday and Sunday during the last month. But other than that, that's the only thing. It would be nothing personal. But if that happens, she'd only go in for like at most a couple of hours probably, and she'd come right back. So that shouldn't keep you guys from coming up here. Well, we'll leave it at that for the short term, and I'll call you in a week or so, and we'll set up something more definite. But you guys count on coming sometime in the next I guess three weeks or so, and we'll just kind of take it easy and relax up here a little bit, okay? Guys, Shirley said to give you her love, and she's down there watching Masterpiece Theater, coiled up by the fireplace. I built her a fire, and Shane is dead to the world. And I want to end this tape. I want to write Larry a couple of lines and try to get them to come up either the latter part of April or sometime in that area if I can. Because we haven't. Seems like we never get to see them very much. I feel very funny about Law and Nancy. It just seems like they'll never come up and see us. And of course, I know how their schedules are. Nancy's is probably terrible, and Law just can't take the time. So maybe one of these days when they get settled down, maybe they will. But anyway, you guys take care, and as soon as you can, send us up another tape. And in the meantime, we'll be trying to firm up something and see if that fits your all schedule real well. But in any case, you guys count on coming, and give our best to everyone. Tell Law Nancy we send her love, and give that Princey boy a big hug for me. And by the way, how is Betsy? Did she ever get over the infection she had? What was that, a bladder infection? Well, anyway, I hope she's over it by now. And you guys take care. We love always. And please let us hear from you real soon. Bye-bye. Hello, Mom and Dad. Well, it's Sunday, 5:30 p.m., and Shane and I are sitting here by ourselves watching the sun go down. Shirley is working this afternoon. They're having a mild outbreak of a different type of flu, and she was asked to work a few hours this afternoon, so she'll be working till approximately 6 or 6:30. Thought we would just record a message for you since we thoroughly enjoyed your tape last week. We played it back several times. I have a message that I'd like for you to give Law for me. Tell him that I was able to order him a pair of brown safety shoes. Tell him that they're the brogue types. I hope he likes them. If I get them as I plan to this coming Monday, if they're in, I will put them in the mail immediately for him. Tell him he can expect them in approximately a week. Tell him I hope they fit, and I hope that he'll enjoy them. Boy, I sure am delighted to be off of that shift that we were working last week. I had my entire group working on split shifts because we had to make some material that was vital to our program, and because several of the guys had families with children involved and so forth and so on, the weather was so bad, I felt I should take one portion of the crew on the midnight shift. So I worked 12 to 12 midnight to 12 noon each day with several of the guys, and Shirley and I hardly saw each other for the better part of last week. It seemed like I was sleeping when she was at work, and when she was at home I was working, and boy, last week was just a blur to me. It really wasn't till this morning that I was able to catch up on my rest. I believe that we were successful in what we we had hoped to achieve. The program is going a lot better than it was a few weeks ago. We may at this time achieve an objective which corporate directors felt may not have been possible. If so, I think that's going to be a real feather in our hats. Anyway, we're keeping our fingers crossed that things will go well for us in the next couple of months. This is going to be a crucial period for our program. Boy, getting back to the weather, it seems like that's all everyone's talking about, that and the natural gas shortage and the fuel oil shortages up here. I sometimes think that, boy, we sure were lucky putting in this electric heat. Even though it's a little more expensive, we're not having nearly the problems that our neighbors seem to be having. These oil burners, even though they're relatively new, on both sides of us, the trucks are in and out of here at least once a week. And these oil burners just keep going down all the time. And, gee, they're new, so what your guess is as good as mine when these things get 10, 15 years old, how they act up. I know the one in Levittown practically drove me crazy. It seemed like forever and a day I was having to call them out to work on the darn thing. And this couple next door to us, this thing has hardly been run. And again yesterday, here this guy was out very early in the morning working to get them some heat. We've been throwing a lot of seed out in the back under the tree. I put out a couple of little bird feeders. The birds seem to be having a rather hard time with all the snow cover we have. They're not able to scratch out any type of food at all, but we're throwing this wild bird seed out there that we got, and we seem to be attracting quite a few now. We've had a cardinal out and a lot of the little type birds. So Shirley's been enjoying that quite a bit, seeing them able to get something to eat. I hate the thought of having to go out front and start shoveling this darn stuff. We've got about another 2.5 to 3 feet on our sidewalk in the front because it tends to drift in front of the house. And I worked about 3 hours yesterday just clearing the driveway so we could get the cars in and out. It just seems like I no more than get it cleared, and the wind blows it right back in there, and then it freezes up, and it's difficult getting the cars in and out. But this is going to be one winter when I think we're going to remember it the rest of our lives. We have very many more like this. Well, I'll tell you, I think I'm going to look for a job in Florida or somewhere. I don't believe I can stand too much more of this. Shirley was telling me this morning that she tended to agree with me that she just didn't think she could retire up here. And I tend to think that we have it a little worse because we have this open field behind our house, and the wind blows from the western side, towards the back side of our house. And we get all the snow drifting in the front, plus we get all these high winds blowing on the side of the house that the bathrooms are on and so forth. And you have to compensate for the amount of heat loss due to these high winds, so you have to turn the heat way up in these bathrooms and downstairs to, even though the house is tight, it's still rather significant. We've had gusts 50, 60 mile per hour up here, and it's just been one day after another. It seems like every snowfall we've had, we follow it with one of these 3 or 4 days of high winds, and these gusts are just unbelievable. It can hardly take Shana outside because of it. I bundle her up in her little coat and we go out, but she can only take about 3 or 4 minutes of it, and she turns and runs back for the house and literally is shaking all over, and I just don't have the heart to keep her out there, so we bring her on in, and she seems to rush out and do her business and then get back in the house, though. So I guess she's tougher than I give her credit for. I'm looking at her right now. She's here on the chair, sound asleep. Boy, she sure is a little old dear. Boy, I have gotten so attached to her. Shirley tells me that if that woman ever decides to take her back, we'll both miss her so much. Thought you all might enjoy hearing that Robert Alexander of South Charleston High School has been in the news up in the Philadelphia area. Once in the Philadelphia Inquirer last week, they talked about the NCAA doing an investigation of his recruiting simply because he had signed a letter of intent to go to West Virginia University. And that's just the way the newspaper wrote it up. I'm not sure of all the connotations involved and why they would be so sensitive to him wanting to sign a letter of intent to go to West Virginia University. But according to the article, over 200 colleges are trying to recruit him. And I guess the bidding and the under-the-table stuff is probably beginning to come forth now. One local news program on the radio when I was going to work indicated that he had not made up his mind yet, but he had to be one of the most highly sought-after high school football players in the country this year. Do you all know whether he has chosen West Virginia University, or has he chosen a school at all yet? I kind of think it would be nice if he would end up at West Virginia University, although you couldn't blame the kid if he decides to go to the school that offers him the most. Well, sorry for the interruption. Shirley just came in, and I guess you can hear her in there talking to Shayna. Well, Dad, Mom, we're gonna break and go to Dave and Terry's, and I'll continue this message shortly. Okay? With them. Shirley had bought a chicken. She was going to roast it tonight. We were going to have a quiet meal here at the house and just settle in, build a fire, and watch some TV. But we haven't seen Dave and Terry for, I guess it's now been a couple, 2 to 3 weeks, and so we elected to delay the chicken dinner till tomorrow night. Wednesday night, Shirley's got about 16 women coming for her literature group meeting. She volunteered to have it this month rather than next month because the lady who was supposed to have it in February took ill, and they were going to have to postpone it, so they just decided to switch, and now Shirley's having it here 1 month early. So we got the house, I guess, in fairly good shape. Shirley spent the morning getting her table ready and so forth, do a little bit each day, and then come Tuesday night she won't have to do it all at the last minute. Basically, though, the house is in pretty good shape. There'll just be some last-minute dusting. I kid Shirley so much about the house and how they're going to be searching in the drawers and white glove inspecting the tops of everything, and she gets panicking. And I think sometimes she doesn't realize that I'm just teasing her. But she really likes to show off the house, so she tries to get it in real first-class shape so that when they come, they'll brag on it, I guess.